Joining me now is the Vice President of Parents Defending Freedom, Caroline Moore. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, Caroline, what do you make of this whole story and the Biden administration's response to it?
Well, actually, we're really happy that the Department of Education is taking these complaints seriously. We file a couple complaints every week or so, depending on what tips we get from parents who send them in to us online. Parents all over the country, like you said, are experiencing this in their schools or their children's schools. And so they send us tips and we file complaints. And sometimes we worry that these complaints go unanswered. And I guess it's reassuring to us that at least the Department of Education is going to look into this and actually, do a thorough investigation, which they should.
Yeah, absolutely, they should. What do you think will result from the investigation taking place? What do you foresee happening there?
Yeah, so I think that there are a couple things that can happen. Usually when these school districts come under fire, whether it's publicly or, heaven forbid, having a federal agency investigate a small school district, that's very embarrassing. And so I think the school will walk back the program. We've seen these race-based affinity groups, like I said, all over the country, in red states and blue states, in big districts and small. And our hope is that the school, rectifies their unlawful and unconstitutional segregated groups. And so our hope is that they end these affinity groups and really bring affinity groups back to their original purpose, which is to unify students over common interests or ideology or a purpose, instead of segregating kids based on immutable characteristics.
Yeah, I think that absolutely needs to happen. And if we want any future and we want schools to focus on what's actually important, it's essential that it does. So thank you for all that you do in fighting for that. Caroline, in other news, in California, lawmakers are refusing to hear a bill that would require schools to notify parents if their child is claiming to be transgender. What do you think is going on here?
Honestly, as sad as this is, it's really not surprising. Seeing as it's California. It's really sad for parental rights in California. We have a running list of schools that have these transgender or gender nonconforming policies on the books. And California, unsurprisingly, has 30 districts in the state that have these policies. And oftentimes parents aren't aware of these policies because the policy is that teachers work behind the backs of parents to help their child confirm a gender identity that does not align with their biological identity, which is very scary. Parents, in order to, direct the upbringing and education and well-being of their children, and also their medical decisions, they have to be aware of these policies and know what's going on in their kids' lives.
Absolutely, and it's just shocking that it's no longer that way, that teachers almost have more say than a parent does. When did this happen and why is this happening? More specifically, why do you think it is that they're pushing so hard and so incessantly for teachers to have so many rights over a parent?
Well, actually, I think there are a couple things at play. I think that there are the teachers' unions who are very involved in top-down approach to what's going on in school districts around the country. And we also have political and social and emotional learning activists that, are very involved in school districts. And teachers, I think that they would really like to focus on the science, math, history, and English that's being taught, that they used to teach in schools, but they're being overrun with these teacher trainings that are telling them to bring politics into the classroom. Yeah. And if you hear that from all of your colleagues and you're hearing it from administrators, then I think that you end up bringing that stuff into the classroom to the detriment of students across the country.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are forced to go through this diversity, equity, and inclusion training where they're basically told you're either going to do this or you're not going to have a job. We've heard so many stories of teachers getting fired for refusing to give in to these woke ideologies that they're trying so hard to force and push in the classroom. So it really is scary. But for a bit of good news, for once, over in Texas, a bill passed that will now require schools to tell parents what books kids check out. I think this is a huge win for parental rights, and we know that it's critical that parents are aware, given what they're trying to put in the libraries and the school classrooms. What do you think about this one?
Oh, I think you're right. I think this is really a step in the right direction for Texas. You know, we saw a couple weeks ago that Congress passed the Parental Bill of Rights Act, and that brings to light that, you know, parents need transparency in the classroom, and teachers and school districts need to be held accountable. One of the pillars of the Parents' Bill of Rights Act was that parents should be made aware of the books that are in their children's libraries. And I think, you know, like I said before, if parents aren't aware of what's going on in the classroom or what books are being shown to their children, how are they supposed to parent? I think that, you know, information is key, and more information is power for parents. It's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And last topic I'd like to bring up, apparently masks are still a thing in schools. I thought that the effectiveness of masks had been totally debunked at this point, but apparently in Alabama, a bill is being debated to let K through 12 parents opt whether or not their kids wear masks in school. I mean, is this still 2020? How is this even still happening? And what are your thoughts on this?
You know, I was really surprised to read that too, seeing as it's 2023 and kids are back in school and things are getting back to normal. You know, parents have the right to direct the medical decisions of their child, and they should, you know, be involved in the decision making whether or not their child will bring wear a mask to school or bring it with them if they know a peer or something is ill. And so I think that this is a great thing for parental rights, as unfortunate as it is that masks are still happening.
Yeah, good point. Maybe we just do away with them entirely. Anyway, Caroline, where can people find you for more and follow all the great work that you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. If anyone has tips, please send them to info@defendinged.org and go to our website. We have a great poll that just came out last month that talks about, you know, voters across the board. 71% support legislation where parents are notified if their child's gender identity doesn't align with their biological gender or biological sex. And so I think that, you know, this is a great poll that just came out, and so we have good information on that. And also we have that transgender and gender nonconforming information. I think it'd be beneficial for parents all over to go to our website and look up and see if their child's school district is on the list.
Absolutely. Everyone should go check that out. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you again for all of the incredible work you're doing. Keep it up.
Great. Thank you so much.
Take care.